Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to Poetry Thursday, an embattled little BookTube event where I and a handful of others read you poems on Thursday. I am working my way through a big fat anthology of 20th century American poetry, which is a time and a type of poetry that I have often maligned. I found this anthology and it seemed to speak to me. So it goes in roughly chronological order from the few years before the beginning of the 20th century, all through the 20th century. So we're going to do that too. And today we are up to 1915. Today we are up to another poet who's really defined by one work. We saw that last time, and we're doing that again, but this is, if anything, even more pronounced. Because this isn't just one poem, this is one book, one work of poetry, the Spoon River Anthology by Edgar Lee Masters, which was, it's the only thing that he was known for in his own day. It's the only thing that he's known for now, to the extent that he's known at all. He wrote a lot of other stuff. He wrote a lot of other volumes of poetry. He wrote a lot of fiction and nonfiction. He led an interesting life. He was a thoroughgoing a-hole, but he led an interesting life, but it doesn't matter. Even in his own day, even when he was a fairly young man, it was known to everyone that he would only ever be known for this one book of poetry, which takes as its central conceit a graveyard. And it's a mosaic of poems told from the different points of view of the people under the ground, in the graveyard, of the dead in the graveyard. It fit perfectly with the syrupy sentimentality of the time, and it still works. Absolutely, it still does. Obviously, from that conceit that I just told you about, there's no real way for me to read you just one poem. I'm going to read you a couple of poems. They're none of them long. And I thought first I would start with the sort of preface to the whole thing, the view of the cemetery on the hill, that goes like this. It's just called The Hill. Where are Elmer, Herman, Bert, Tom, and Charlie? The weak of will, the strong of arm, the clown, the boozer, the fighter. All are sleeping on the hill. One passed in a fever. One was burned in a mine. One was killed in a brawl. One died in a jail. One fell from a bridge, toiling for children and wife. All are sleeping, sleeping, sleeping on the hill. Where are Ella, Kate, Mag, Lizzie, and Edith? The tender heart, the simple soul, the loud, the proud, the happy one. All are sleeping on the hill. One died in a shameful childbirth. One of a thwarted love. One at the hands of a brute in a brothel. One of a broken pride, in search of heart's desire. One, after life in faraway London and Paris, was brought to her little space by Ella and Kate and Mag. All are sleeping, sleeping, sleeping on the hill. Where are Uncle Isaac and Aunt Emily and old Townie Kincaid and Savigny Houghton and Major Walker, who had talked with old venerable men of the Revolution? All are sleeping on the hill. They brought them dead, sons from the war and daughters whom life had crushed, and their children fatherless, crying. All are sleeping, sleeping, sleeping on the hill. Where is old Fiddler Jones, who played with life all his 90 years, braving the sleet with bared breast, drinking, rioting, thinking neither of wife nor kin, nor gold, nor love, nor heaven? Lo, he babbles of the fish fries of long ago, and of horse races of long ago at Clary's Grove, of what Abe Lincoln said one time at Springfield. Notice, in that opening invocation, all are sleeping, sleeping, sleeping on the hill, does not apply to old Fiddler Jones. He is obviously still alive. He's 90 and he's still alive. He is not up there yet, and the point of shifting from all of those people, with all of their tightly encapsulated fates, to him, he gets a whole stanza to himself, the point is to underscore the fact that he too will be one line, one phrase, the proud one, the happy one, the boozer. He will be reduced to that when his time comes, when he's up on the hill. That is pretty canny. And we want to read two. I want to read you two poems from the dead here in the Spoon River Anthology. We'll read a shorter one and a slightly longer one to give you a sense of what Edgar Lee Masters is doing here. So first we will do Nolt Holheimer. That's Knowlt. That was the first name. And this is his poem. I was the first fruits of the Battle of Missionary Ridge. When I felt the bullet enter my heart, I wish I had stayed at home and gone to jail for stealing the hogs of Curl Trenery, instead of running away and joining the army. Rather 1,000 times the county jail than to lie under this marble figure with wings and this granite pedestal bearing the words Pro Patria. What do they mean, anyway? That is the dead boy. And he doesn't know. Pro Patria it comes from a line from Horace, how wonderful it is to die for your country. Sweet and wonderful it is to die for your country. Somebody carved that on a monument of his. He can't even read it. He never learned Latin. And he would rather have lived than have died, than have gone away to war and died at Missionary Ridge. So it has a punch. That final line has a punch. We don't think of it that way. We think about the military dead, certainly the honored dead, as wanting to be there. So that's one. And then the other poem that we'll read will be Lucinda Matlock. To give you a completely different register here. I went to the dances at Chandlersville and played Snap Out at Winchester. One time we changed partners, driving home in the moonlight of a middle June, and then I found Davis. We were married and lived together for 70 years, enjoying, working, raising the 12 children, 8 of whom we lost. Ere I had reached the age of 60, I spun, I wove, I kept the house, I nursed the sick, I made the garden, and for holiday rambled over the fields where sang the larks, and by Spoon River gathering many a shell and many a flower of medicinal weed, shouting at the wooded hills, singing to the green valleys. At 96 I had lived enough, that is all, and passed to a sweet repose. What is this I hear of sorrow and weariness, anger, discontent, and drooping hopes? Degenerate sons and daughters, life is too strong for you. It takes life to love life. So Lucinda is in the bulk of her verse, she is taking us into her life. All those years, 90 years, roaming in the fields, picking medicinal herbs, having children and losing them, marrying a man and staying married for the better part of a century, etc., etc. And then in the very last few lines, she turns into a bit of a scolding a-hole. It says, you kids these days, you don't know anything. What is this with drooping hopes? What is you saying you're tired all the time? Why is your Twitter handle say so-and-so is so tired? You don't know what tired is. In my day, this would have had a really profound sentimental impact at the time that it came out. And it shows you a difference and a similarity that you get all throughout Spoon River Anthology. The difference is the one that I think keeps the book alive, which is that no two of the dead are the same. You don't know what you're going to get. You know you're going to get a twist at the end. Usually, you're going to get a twist at the end. You're going to get something that isn't just a hallmark piety. Whether it's a young soldier who was cut down early in life and wished that he hadn't been, or an old woman who seems at first to be glorying in the love, in the wonders of her earthly life, but turns into a bit of a scold at the end. That kind of a difference, how that Edgar Lee Masters manages to capture all of these different voices, that runs throughout the book. And another thing that runs throughout the book may be a harbinger of the fate that awaits us in this volume, because as you can tell from what I just read you, that is, rather than act like Lucinda, I will not say that is not poetry. Instead, I will say that is definitely free verse. Those lines didn't have any structure. Didn't have any internal buried rhythm or rhyme or anything like that. They were stacked prose. Lovely, but stacked prose. And we know what's coming, right? In this anthology, we know what's coming. 1956 is coming in this anthology. We'll be a while getting there. We have a couple of wars to go through. But 1956, Howl is coming. So we will see if this volume can change my mind. We'll see. I hope that it will. I hope that it will at least flesh out my mind that would ordinarily look at an anthology like this, 20th Century American Poetry, and retitle it The Death of American Poetry. Maybe not. Maybe by crawling through like this, maybe my sensibilities will have changed by the time we get to 1956. We shall see. But anyway, that is the Spoon River Anthology. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Spoon River Anthology is a Penguin Classic. And if so, it's one that I don't have. I don't actually have a copy of Spoon River Anthology. I'm sure that it's available on Project Gutenberg. But I'd really like to get a Penguin Classic of it, because encountering it in this anthology, and this anthology has a lot more of those little vignettes really made me remember how much I like it. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe that'll be another after effect, a knock-on effect of this whole Poetry Thursday thing. But that is your poem for today. Edgar Lee Masters, Spoon River Anthology. How much fun is that? Probably a lot of you encountered this in school. We will see what's next. I am intentionally not looking ahead. We'll see what's next Poetry Thursday. Unless I do a poem early. There's a lot of poems in this book. I easily could. But we shall see. I will wrap this up for now in any case, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.